Hello and welcome to our third seminar in our Wellbeing series. My name's Sam Emmett and this is for the power of learning for personal well-being, and let's just get into it, shall we? So obviously this is a follow-up from a seminar that we delivered live on Wednesday morning, and as per usual we'll be live again this Wednesday morning between 10 and 12 for the next in the series, which is going to be on giving, the art of giving for enhancing your own personal well-being as well as the well-being of others. So this fits into this 5 steps to improve your mental well-being, and obviously we're looking at giving to others on this particular occasion. So if I just remove myself out of the window a second. So learning is one of the 5 steps to well-being, and today we're going to look at how we can enhance well-being so that it can give a sense of achievement. In this seminar rambling, we will look at how learning assists well-being by increasing our mental resilience and self-esteem, which follows on from last week's seminar. To achieve this, we're going to look at the power of developing a growth mindset, which will help us to undertake learning. We're also going to look at a variety of possible options for learning. Okay. We have a set of rules when we're running our webinars, but that's not really applicable today, so I'll just bypass that. Okay, so well-being is associated with personal confidence and optimism about the future and the control we have of our destiny. It can help us improve our influence over our own destiny and the social skills that promote effective and rewarding relationships with others. Our personal well-being is directly affected by issues of mental health, which will affect 25% of the population. Learning is a powerful tool in recovery from mental health issues, as has been recognised by many, including the World Health Organization and by the Mental Health Foundation, who I've drawn quite heavily on for this particular seminar. Okay, Mental Health Foundation concluded that community-based education programs can provide an effective method of reducing mild to moderate depression and anxiety. Actually, they also said learning is quite simple, but that's not always the case when you're trying to get hold of new tech and preparing content. Whoops, I'm in the picture there. Let's move that out of the way. In addition to this seminar presentation rambling, we have other recordings on YouTube website, our YouTube channel. So please go over there, have a look, and if there's any topic or area you'd like us to cover, then just contact us and we'll consider or look at adding it on. So why is this important? It's one thing just saying, okay, learning is important, but is there any real reason for it? So let's have a look at that. So Bill Watterson, who's one of my favourite writers, he wrote a series of cartoons called Calvin and Hobbes, which are very, very funny. Well, that's my opinion. And he says, a playful mind is inquisitive and learning is fun. If you indulge in natural curiosity and retain a sense of fun in new experience, I think you'll find it functions as a sort of shock absorber for the bumpy road ahead. That's quite interesting, and we'll have a look at that. I like that saying, and we'll look at what that means a little bit further. So we'll build up to that. Research demonstrates that learning improves and insists in maintaining our personal well-being. It boosts self-confidence and self-esteem. It helps to build a sense of purpose as well as our ability to connect with others, which takes us back to communication and confidence, which we dealt in the first of our 5 seminars. And I, as a tutor, teacher, lecturer and whatever, I often hear learners reporting that they feel better about themselves and have a greater ability to cope with stress, and in addition they feel more confident. Right. And the setting of goals and working towards them has been considered an important way to boost confidence and self-esteem. Hence the reason I keep going on about this action plan and just doing little steps. Setting and achieving goals is a key to learning, and more importantly, it creates positive feelings of accomplishment, which often provide motivation to do more learning and therefore accomplish more. So you start having success and you're building up. Right. And the setting of goals and working towards them is often considered an important way to boost confidence and self-esteem. Hence I keep putting the action plan in the seminars, and setting and achieving these goals is the key to learning. More importantly, it creates positive feelings of accomplishment, which often provide the motivation to do more learning and therefore accomplish more. Right. Now I just want to point out that whilst we're on there, that you can go on some courses or you can start learning something, and it's not necessarily about the end. It's not necessarily about the end qualification. There is something that's called a bit like a success in failure. You might not finish or you might not pass the whole course, but each bit that you learn is a success. So sometimes you can just take part in courses and just do little bits or learn something even if you don't finish the whole thing, because you have learnt a little bit, and then next time it's easier when you start again. The people who've been included in learning with me will know I cast an emphasis on the importance of fun and cake. And if you cast your mind back to the first seminar, we actually looked at games for learning, because learning is fun and rewarding, and when it's fun it becomes more memorable and effective. So that becomes a win-win. Let's just, before we go any further, we're not always talking about formal courses. These could be nice, easy, simple things, and we'll look at options later. So please hang around. Right, B.B. King. Oh, what a musician. And B.B. King made a quote: "The beautiful thing about learning is nobody can take it away from you." Let's have a look at that. Well, this comes down to memory, and there's different types of memory, and I'm just going to look at very loosely. There's a lot more in-depth you can have. Procedural memory, which is something that is based on a procedure. So, for example, riding a bike. Once you've learned to ride a bike, you do not forget it. This is because it is stored in procedural memory, and procedural memory is more resistant to memory loss. So it's the type of memory that's used for skills such as swimming, baking and reading. And what's quite interesting is that when people often have brain loss or memory loss, is that these procedures stay. So and I've been doing some work with some people suffering from different levels of dementia, and they might forget people and relationships, but they often remember how to cook, and they often remember how to read, and they normally remember how to ride a bike. It's just they don't tend to ride a bike. Okay, so that's quite an interesting thing. So next step is declarative memory, and this is episodic memory. So recollections of experiences, such as your first day of school or your first kiss. There are certain episodes in your life that you will always remember. They really stick there, and they're really and they're linked to an episode that happened. And then there's factual knowledge of Spain, capital of Spain, names of kings and queens, and both of those type of knowledges are things that you are aware of and you can communicate to others. It's a bit hard to communicate riding a bike to others. It's possible, but a lot harder. But this is like factual type memory that you can relate. This type of memory can be a little bit more subject to loss, but key episodes will stay burnt in your memory. Right, memory and learning. So whilst no one can take it away from you, some aspects, such as learning, factual learning, can be lost. But the important thing to remember is that is not caused by others. What is learnt by you. Others cannot take it away. You might forget it as you get older, or if you start suffering from dementia, etc. But it's also interesting, what I want to get through here is what is learnt and the act of learning actually enhance self-esteem. So even if you learn something like geography and then you forget about it, during the time, that sense of achievement and that act are also helping you, because they build self-esteem and achievement at that time. And learning also enhances our mental resilience. It's like this shock absorber that Bill Watterson was talking about, or Waterson. So knowledge and learning help us to find or adapt methods and approaches to unexpected situations. So sometimes we might have learnt a skill in cooking, and then we might be able to apply that to somewhere else. So it helps us with our problem solving because we have more skills, more abilities in our little personal toolbox, and that helps mental resilience. You'll be surprised at how particular skills can be used in other situations. Right, okay, problems and barriers. Many adults associate learning and childhood or student days, and when we become older we consider that other things have a higher priority. So things like, how many times have you said or come across someone who has said, yeah, I wanted to learn to play a guitar, but it's too late now. I would have liked to have learned to do that, but I haven't got the time, or it's too late, or I've got to focus on work. First answer, it is never too late. People can carry on doing degrees right up until their 80s, or they can learn a new skill at any point. Don't fall into that trap. And then another problem or barrier, and this one is a lot harder to deal with. Adults, old and young, and sometimes children, associate learning with negative experiences. Not achieving in school can lead us to believe we are not capable, and therefore create a barrier, such as, I can't do maths, I'm stupid, other people are cleverer than me. Nobody is cleverer than anybody else. We all have the potential to be clever. We all have the potential to be clever in different subjects or different areas or different skills. And in addition, traumatic experiences from formal education, such as bullying, will also create a barrier to learning. The important thing to remember is that's the past. The current and the present is different. Learning with adults is different to learning in school. Learning things by yourself for the fun of it is a whole new experience and is nothing to do with that. So you can do maths. You just don't know you can do it. You are not stupid, and other people, you are just as clever as other people. These barriers that I'm not clever enough, etc., come when with our mind and the way that we think. And what happens is we create barriers to our learning, and that helps us to, that forces us into what's known as a closed or fixed mindset. And it's not just barriers to learning that do this, life can do this. So with a fixed mindset, people see their ability and talent as fixed, and it's not something that can be changed. Some simple comments that belay this are, it's hard for me to lose weight, I am not creative, and I am rubbish at maths. So let's have a little bit look at this mindset, because it's how your mind sort of works and focuses. So we got fixed mind characteristics. So fixed mind is when you see your talents and traits as fixed. So I cannot improve that. That is as good as it is. They are set by society or natural ability. People with a fixed mindset are risk adverse. I'm not going to try that because I might fail. This is a major problem, because most of the time we actually learn from our mistakes and how we do them better in next time. It's easier to problem solve if you've got something to look at that didn't quite work. Effort is only for those who are clever. Well, this is another type of risk averse, really. Anybody can put effort in. You don't have to be clever at all. They're not the same thing. People with fixed mind characteristics will cover flaws and are defensive if these are pointed out. They pretend something is not, they just get defensive about perceived weaknesses. They'll see feedback as a personal attack, and they're often threatened by the success of others. And if you have these and you start knowing, these are things that are fixed mindset, and if you see them in yourself, it's a little bit easier to go, how do I start turning that round? Before you can improve anything, you've got to know what it is that you're trying to improve. Okay, so this fixed mindset and growth mindset, which we're going to come to, the work of, or primarily the work of a fantastic person called Carol Dweck. And here's a quote from her. So rather than thinking, oh, I'm going to reveal my weaknesses, you say, wow, here's a chance to grow. No matter what your current ability is, effort is what ignites that ability and turns it into accomplishment. I didn't read that very well. Made a mistake. I'll do it again. Effort is what ignites that ability and turns it into accomplishment. Right. Here's another one. Studies show that people are terrible at estimating their abilities. And in their research that she undertook, recently we set out to see those who is most likely to do this. Sure, we found that people greatly misestimated their performance and their ability, but it was those with the fixed mindset who accounted for almost all the inaccuracy. The people with the growth mindset were amazingly accurate. When you think about it, it makes sense. If, like those with a growth mindset, you believe you can develop yourself, then you're open to accurate information about your current abilities, even if it's unflattering. You know, we're not good at everything. Okay, your mindset is not fixed. It may and will change. At times, all of us will have a fixed or closed or negative mindset. So please do not worry if you have it. It's going to happen. The skill is knowing that a mindset can change and that you can change it yourself. So, developing a growth mindset. Your mindset is not fixed and will change, so please do not worry if you have a fixed mindset. The skill is that you can change it. Sorry, I must have hit the wrong slide again. So, growth mindset characteristics. Talents and traits can be developed through learning. So we can still learn things. We can still have a go of learning something new and develop a new talent or a new trait. Mistakes are an aid to learning. If you really think back to it, it's most of the things that you learned or that you really succeeded at, there were errors and mistakes along the way. Well, that's part of the road to journey. You can't have success without making mistakes along the way. Accept that it happens and use them. Failure is only a temporary setback and provides an opportunity to learn. That goes back to this mistakes again. Feedback helps to enhance our own ability. When somebody provides us feedback, we've baked a cake and they say, oh no, that's really nice, I really like that. Ooh, I'm not sure about the filling though. I think there wasn't really enough jam, so it was a bit dry. Okay, well that sounds negative, but you go, well actually, okay, the cake might have been a bit dry. I might put a bit more filling in. I might put a bit more cream in. It allows you to look at what you can do next time that will make it even better. That's the goal. And the success of others provides a source of inspiration and information. Wow, they did that. I could do that. I could have a go of having a go of something like that. There are loads of people of all ages who didn't think they could do something and have put some effort in and have achieved it. Well, look at those and emulate them. Embrace challenge. Give it a go. It's something different. And then you'll start enjoying it. Okay, so how do we develop a growth mindset? It's one thing knowing what it is. How do we do it? So we acknowledge and embrace imperfections. If there's something about us that isn't particularly good or we're not proud of, we just acknowledge it. And so when somebody tries to point out that flaw, it doesn't matter because you just say, well, that flaw exists. Never mind, I'll carry on. And we view a challenge as an opportunity. So when you see something that's a challenge, think, what could I do about that? You don't have to do the whole thing. Just do it little bit by bit. Replace the word fail and failing with learn and learning. Yeah, I failed at that. Well, I can learn from that. I keep failing to do things. Well, no, let's start learning to do stuff. And emphasize growth over speed. It doesn't all happen at once. Just a bit by bit, and you're growing and developing. And reward actions, not trait, effort over achievement. If you put the effort in, it will get there. It will take time. So, for example, you start baking and when I was baking bread, my first loaves were hideous, awful. So you don't like reward the successful loaf because that's going to take quite a while to come if you're as bad as baking as I was. I'm okay now. But there will be some success within it. So, okay, it didn't rise that time, but it set well. It tastes nice. It just doesn't look good. The dough's a bit wet and it's flattened out, but it still tastes okay. So over time, the effort is what you're rewarding, because eventually it will lead to achievement. Reflect. Reflect is look back. Think what you've done. Think how it worked. Think, well, I could do that instead, and it gives you a chance to recognise where you can improve. This is the biggest one, so I'm going to come back to it. Number 8, make goals. Set yourself little goals. Use your little action plan. Make yourself a target and achieve it. Doesn't have to be big, small steps. So if you're going to learn a whole new thing, then break it down into smaller steps. Nobody learns the whole thing at once. We learn it step by step by step. So if you're going to learn something like DIY, you might start learning how to fill holes with polyfiller first before you start thinking about how you're going to plaster a wall, bit by bit. And celebrate your successes. Feel good about yourself and acknowledge, I did that. That works really well. When the bread's really nice and you start eating it, and the trouble is you eat the whole bread straight away, which is not necessarily wise, it is a success, so enjoy it because you made that happen. The biggest one, the word yet. I can't do that becomes I can't do that yet. I don't know that. I don't know that yet. I'll never be able to do that. Well, that's just not right at all. You will be able to do it. So change it to I can't do that. I can't do that yet. Yeah. And there's anything. I can't ride a bike. I can't ride a bike yet. I can't swim. I can't swim yet. I can't bake Blackwell. I can't bake meringues. I can't bake meringues yet. Changes that thinking in your head. Okay. Camel dweck. In my experience, the only way I know to change the type of person that you believe you are is to build a better identity for yourself. And you do that with small, repeated actions. It's not an overnight process, but each little bit you do is getting towards it. Also, you're learning a little bit more, so you start building a little bit more self-worth. You start building a little bit more self-confidence, and you build mental resilience. So it's all helping your mental well-being. I just put the name of the book there, which is quite an interesting book. It's Changing the Way You Feel to Fulfill Your Potential. Costs in the region of £9, cheaper for a Kindle version. It's by Carol Dweck. There's lots of stuff on the internet to look about what she's done, and it's really quite interesting because it helps change the way you think. Okay. Leonardo da Vinci, another person on our side here, and he says learning is the only, or he said obviously, learning is the only thing the mind never exhausts, never fears, and never regrets. You won't regret learning. You shouldn't fear it, so just do it. And the journey of learning is paramount. It is important to both the mind and heart. Make learning fun, and your soul, heart and health will all gain benefit. I'm not going to say who made that quote because it gets a little bit embarrassing. So, what can you learn? Well, you don't have to learn Latin. Well, not by next week anyway. Maybe a few weeks later. How about baking? Now, if you can already bake, a different type of cake, a different type of bread, a different type of thing. So you bake something a little bit more complex, not massively complex. One step up, one step up. Play a musical instrument. Oh man, I wish I could play a musical instrument. I think I will give that a go. I've got a lot to do at the moment, but I certainly will rethink about that. I used to like playing drum. That'd be cool. Sign language. Well, there's a nice little sign language course which I've got a flyer for somewhere, but just go to the internet and look for the British Sign Language Society or British Sign Language. Lots of free courses. So in this time, it's a very visual thing. So even if you just learn some of the introductions, some of the welcomes, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to learn, the basics, introductions. It's what I've set myself for this week's target. And then because we're in this connecting with people from a distance, well, it's another set of people that we can communicate with. Fantastic. DIY. Now, if you do move to do some DIY, yeah, I've been having a go at this and it's taken me a little bit longer than I thought, so do please come round and fix my errors. I'm learning from my mistakes, but it's quite a lot of mistakes. Arts and crafts. I had a go at the decoupage that we Julia posted in our videos. Oh no, it was really good fun. I made a massive mess which I got to clear up. Well, I think I'm going to have another go of that. Gardening. If you've got a garden, it's a fantastic time to learn to do a bit of gardening. I've just planted out my runner beans and the problem with the leaves, so I'm going to have a look at that and I'm going to learn what I can do to have more success. History is always a bit of fun. Not talking about history, the whole subject, although I like that. But local family history or local history, you see something when you're walking about and you think, wow, what's that? I wonder where that came from. You'll find as you're walking around, street names are quite interesting because quite often they'll tell you the past of an area you're looking at. So if you see Baker's Street, it's not always the case, but quite often when that town was older, that's where the bakers were. And you can have a look online and start trying to find out interesting things about where you live. You can start off with your own family history. The beginnings is, creating photographs of you, your parents and your children, and then pop those in. And it's an excuse to talk to a relative, to go and communicate, as we said in session 1. You can say, well, I can't remember who Auntie Mary was married to, and then you can start building that up. List is endless, and they don't have to be full massive subjects. If you wanted to go further, then this area that I'm normally covering is North East Wales, so these are some of the colleges in the area. Then enrol at some colleges, and just as a note, in our area we've got Coleg Cambria, West Cheshire College and Adult Learning Wales. They have a wide variety of courses, including vocational courses, especially those 3, and they're all very friendly and easy to talk to. If you lack the confidence in approaching them, talk to us and we'll try to help. Colleges are far more open to adults and people with lower confidence than ever before. They're all lovely people in these 3 especially. Or you could enrol on one of us. We're also quite nice. Oh yeah, I should remember that. Great. So, but you don't have to go to college. Baking, looking at stuff on the internet, reading a book, having a go at the next level of recipe, sorting out my DIY. Oops, sorry. So mine is going to be sign language. I can't do any of the introductions to sign language yet. However, I'm going to have a look at the introductory type signs, the welcomes, the hello, how are you, and I intend to learn some of those by the end of next week. Brilliant. And then I might develop that. Please remember, power and flexibility of your mind and its ability to keep learning is not limited by content, ability or age. And do not think of your mind as closed. It is always open, and a growth mindset is something we can all achieve. Before I get to the end and say thank you for watching or listening to my ramblings, Homework Helper. Well, Homework Helper is a little bit different this week. We all have something we can do. We all have something that we can teach to others. So this week's Homework Helper is, we'll step outside of the syllabus. A lot of you people are going to be quite good at DIY or some of those basic skills. So teach those to the people in your house or share those. Make little videos. If you're good at craft, then make little videos on how to do craft. There's a lot of that going on at the moment. And if you want to know more about making a little video or housing it somewhere, just give us a shout. Talk to us at our YouTube channel. Okay, well, that's it for this week. Next week, Wednesday, 10 to 12, and it's going to be on gift and giving. And then we'll follow up by putting that on the internet, on our YouTube channel. Thank you, goodbye, and I hope it's made any sense. If you do want to ask any questions, please contact us by our YouTube channel or on our Facebook page. Thank you very much. Goodbye.